Welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, brought to you by Pilma. This podcast helps lead lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Here is your legal marketing expert and host, Ken Hardison.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Ken Hardison, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And today we have Adam Armbruster, who has been a guest before. Welcome back, Adam.
Ken, good to be back with you.
Yeah, man. So tell us a little bit about your company and yourself, because you kind of got a unique, situation there going. And I like it. I've known Adam for over 20 years, and he's always, what's next? What's the cutting edge? And that's why we got him back, because there's some new stuff going down. I want our people to know about it.
Nobody wins Super Bowls using last year's playbook, right? So you got to stay current. You got to keep with the client. What's the client dealing with? You got to bake that in your marketing. But anyhow, what I'm doing is I'm a senior partner with ESA. We're a growth firm, in an advertising world full of gurus and wizards. We're very fundamental. We're all about growing share, revenues, profit, conversion. We focus on that exclusively. The rest of it just is nonsense to us. So we're very focused, 40 years like that. Our firm helps about $100 million a year of campaigns. Legal's about, I'm going to say it's about 20% of our volume, something like that. But, enough to be pretty involved.
Absolutely. So what's going down? I mean, you texted me or emailed me, I can't remember, and said, hey, there's something new out. Your people need to know about this. So what's going down?
We did our conversation with you a couple months back. I don't know, maybe it's 6 months now at this point, and it's escalating what we were talking about, Ken. So if anybody's noticing this, let me just tell you some things to look for. If you're noticing that your Google cost per click volume stays the same or goes down, even if you spend more money in it, there's a red flag. I want to talk about that. If you're noticing that your conversion off that traffic is declining quickly, including people saying like, I didn't call your law firm. I didn't, who, what? If you're getting more of that, I have a suspicious reason why I think that might be happening. And if you're frankly looking to kind of take back control of your messaging and your marketing, kind of bring it in-house, I think that's a really wise move right now. I think there's reasons why you want to think about that, even if you're a larger firm. I think the great thing about law firms is they're run by smart people. So nobody's going to bamboozle you, but there's some things going on upstream that maybe you're not aware of, and I want to make you aware of that today.
Okay, good.
So let's start with that. Let's start with the top. Okay, you're spending 10, 20, 30, 40 grand a month in cost per click, and your conversions of those clicks keeps going down, and or your cost is going up 10, 20, 30, 40%. If you remember, the original reason why that was happening is when Apple decided to turn off automatic sharing with Google. Now, that happened a couple of years ago, and if you remember, your friend Adam was screaming about it, and no one cared. Everybody yawned. And now they're screaming because the results aren't there. Well, that's the number one reason. Now, what's happened in the last 90 days? Here's my feeling, and this is a feeling and opinion. I can't source it. How could you? Were you supposed to Google? That's not realistic research. So what I think's going on is I think all of the tech giants are squaring off with each other. That's been apparent in news. I'm sure you're reading that. But I think it's far more than that. They're all becoming AI search engines, and it's already affecting Google. And I think what they're doing is they're going into a defensive position. I can't tell you, I just had another meeting yesterday with a national brand, number one in the category in the country, saying that their Google keeps slipping in response. And I looked at the CEO and I said, it's not you. You're not doing anything wrong. Don't let them tell you you are. And they're going to try to slam you into this Performax thing, which is, quote, AI. Whenever the tech giant says, just give me your credit card and don't ask questions, start to worry. And that's kind of what that is. Give me your credit card, we'll handle everything for you. Be smarter than that, everybody. I know you are. Okay, so that's happening because I feel that Google's going into a defensive play. If anyone here is noticing that their YouTube videos had a big surge in views in Q1 and is suddenly plummeting, if that's happening to you, what I think you saw happen was those were not people viewing that. Those were search engines viewing it because they're studying the data from YouTube as the number one source of data for AI. His number one source of data for AI is YouTube because it's video, conversation, and text, all baked into one thing. So you had a big surge in views, you felt all happy, wow, look great this is working. All of a sudden it plummeted. That is what's happening. Now, the lesson you want to take from that is if you're not in video going forward, and I mean TV, streaming video, social video, name the screen, okay? Right down the line. Picture all those screens. If you're not in that, I feel that you're going to be invisible to what I'm calling like the new internet. This is like Internet 3.0, where you have all these different search engines. Results are served to you before you can even get out of your mouth. You're like, hey Siri, you know what I'm hungry for? Siri goes, I think you're hungry for a cheeseburger, Adam. Would you like me to order one from DoorDash? You'll have it in 20 minutes. Would you like me to? Oh, and there's Siri talking to me. So what I'm saying is you won't have to go digging for information. It's going to be pushed at you. Okay, so what does all this mean, everybody? What it means is you're going to lose control of that. It's going to be in the hands of multiple tech giants. You all know everything's a search engine. Amazon. Anybody seen Meta.ai? Have you checked that one out, Ken?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a search engine. There's forecasts saying that alone is going to take 10% of Google's money. Just that one, 10%. Okay, so that is something like $30 billion. So there's a lot of money on the table here. What it does is it takes you from giving a vendor money and they give you leads to you're giving them money and they're trying to parlay it into more money. So when you give your money to cost per click, in my opinion, they say, oh, look, Hardison Law Firm gave us some money from Myrtle Beach. Who else in Myrtle Beach wants Ken's data? Who else can we sell it to? So it just becomes kind of a switch pitch, and they're getting paid by everybody on the block, right? So that's what's going on. When you take responsibility back to that and say, could I produce video? Could I be on live TV, streaming TV, every possible YouTube channels? Could I load it up? Not only are you going to, I believe, grow your firm, grow your conversion, grow your referrals, but I think you're going to be part and a leader in the 3.0 internet that's about to hit because you're already there. They're studying you because you're in video. If you're not in video, AI is going to kind of drive by your house. They're not that interested. They're not interested in your print ad or you're in the Yellow Pages or you're wherever. They're not interested in the direct mail. They're not interested in that. And they're the ones serving up the responses going forward. So if you played with Google Gemini, if you played with some of these chat GPTs, if you notice, it kind of finishes your sentence for you. So you don't have to go drilling down. That's where search is going. That's where the internet's going, Ken. What I'm saying to you, gang, is if you own the law firm and you're spending $100,000, $1 million, multiple millions, your direct path to the possible client will be through platforms that get scale and allow timing and allow you to tell your story. Because if they have to grab a screen to find out more about you, that's where all the nonsense starts to kick in. But if they can just see you, call you, text you, QR code you, email, whatever, they can instantly engage. They don't have to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've been preaching videos for about 8 years, maybe 10, and I think it was 2020 when YouTube became the second biggest search engine, overtook only to Google, which Google owns them, so now they got the top two. No, I think you're right. I mean, I hadn't really thought about it, but it makes sense. I mean, Google's all about monetizing, everything they can. I mean, they all are. I mean, Microsoft's got in it. You got, Meta, which is Facebook. I mean, you look at those three. I mean, they got a lot of money, and they're always trying to figure out how to monetize the next thing. And Apple, yeah, that was a big deal. I knew that was going to hurt, but I thought Apple was doing it to kind of try to get Google to pay them money. I don't know. I mean, almost like a ransom, but I don't know. I don't know. It's definitely hurt. But I mean, I'm seeing lawyers all the time saying the pay-per-click stuff's just not working anymore. And I think, a lot of them are trying to get LSAs now, the local service ads, which has been around forever with like plumbers and AC guys and different things like that. But it's relatively, it's been around 2 or 3 years now for lawyers, but it's a big deal now. And the maps, I mean, it's like we had a speaker at our summit last week. He said, listen, SEO, he said, you spend all this money to be number one, and really you're like number 10 or 12 because you got LSAs, you got pay-per-clicks, you got the maps, you got the paid maps. He said, by the time that you do a search term, you're not number one. you're number one on SEO, but you're actually number 10 or 12 when it comes down to the first page. So, I mean, I think that's a game changer. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think you got to, and it's really good if you can be on all three, of course, the more people see you. But I think the Google Maps, to me, and they're already monetizing it, but I think they're going to monetize it more. I really see that. I don't know. I mean, what's your take on that? You think I'm right? You think I'm wrong? You think I'm in between?
I think you're usually on the edge, and here you are again, Ken. You are. I mean, watch the top of the page and you'll see their strategy, right? So what's the top of the page? And by the way, it's one big page. When did that change all of a sudden? Yeah. So, I love when I get these emails from marketing experts. I can get you on page one. I'm like, well, everybody's on page one. Thanks. What they're doing. Watch the top of the page. You'll see LSAs. So what is it? Google, what do they call lawyers? Screened or something? I don't know. So
yeah.
Those with television and streaming video, good combo because you're top of the page. What's better than that is somebody seeing you and not even going to Google. Because Google is a traffic cop. Google does not give you information. Google diverts information and people to who they get money from. So it's you're paying your way to access. The access to the public is far faster using video because you're talking to hundreds, tens, or hundreds of thousands of people in a few hours. And X% need an attorney, and X% can go right to your website. That's why the number one thing that happens, Ken, with video is the direct, organic, other, whatever you want to call it, traffic goes up 20, 30% right away. Is they didn't use Google to find you. They might have used their search engine, but that's not Google. That's not cost per click or map clicking or even LSA. That's the best lead you're going to get after a referral. Referral is the number one. Best lead after that is a direct organic. Video is the fastest way to get that and most economical if you know what you're doing. Some people do. I try to know how to do it right for economics. And you put a message out there that engages. Let me tell you a kind of quick story about a law firm. I don't want to name the firm, but they changed their message and went to like kind of an abbreviated name. And the results fell off and they couldn't figure out why. Is no one watching TV anymore? So I did a little research. And guess what I found out? When they changed the name, people lost the identity of the firm and then started going online. And there was another firm 1,500 miles away with the same name. Well, guess who was getting all the traffic? A law firm 1,500 miles away is getting this guy's traffic because guess what? They were above them on Google because a simple decision was made and you can see the direct cause effect of getting it right or getting it wrong. So we're instantly correcting that, obviously, once we figured it out. But this poor guy in the other states loving all this traffic, wondering where it's coming from. And he's probably getting rich off it. So you got to think about what's going to make people stop, say, you know what, I think not only did an attorney, I need that attorney. He or she, they're saying the right words, man. That's who I want. And what's in it for them right now?
Yeah.
If you don't get that done right now, you're going to get lost in a sea of nothingness. And I really do think there's some fun and games going on with the way they're dispersing these leads. I'm hearing I just got another email from a guy in North Carolina, up your way, Ken. I increased my Google budget 15% and my lead volume went down. Come on, man, be smart. If you're giving somebody more money and they're giving you less, that just means you're being played. You're being played. Yeah. The guy across town who's the new customer probably got all the leads that month because he's the new customer, but you're a regular customer, so we'll just bleed you until you quit or until you scream, and then we'll give you more. So there used to be a gold rush of leads through that. I think the customer, the client, in your case, has so many choices to find businesses. And candidly, the credibility has really been questioned. How many times have you clicked a link? It's not even a law firm. It's something else. Or it says Hardison Law. You click it. It's somebody else buying the name Hardison. It's Giuseppe Law. Like, what? They allow all this stuff. So over time, you erode the trust of the client. You really do. And they just did a big article in Ad Age today. It hit. The head of advertising for Google said it's the hardest job in the world right now is rebuilding the credibility that we basically gave away. They let it erode. You can't have that like kind of shining on you as a law firm. They're counting on you for trust, integrity, ability, and you're letting this stuff affect kind of your reputation in the market. You don't want that. So you want to get ahead of that. So what I'm saying to you is what's changed this last time, Ken, is it's speeding up faster than anybody saw. I'm getting these calls every day. What's going on with our Google? I mean, I was saying, again, I was yelling this 2 years ago, get ready, and no one cared. but now it's hitting the pocketbook. So now we care. Okay, so now we're paying attention. There's no riches in being early either, right, Ken? There's no riches in being late, and there's no riches in being early. And I was early on that one. But the truth is if I'm a head of a law firm, if I'm a principal, I'm looking at that ad budget going, am I getting quality leads coming in here? Am I converting them? And how do I get them directly versus coming through one of these portals? Because it just corrodes the quality very quickly. You all know about findlawandlawyer.com. You already know, you've already probably most experienced that. It's because it's so corroded by the time it gets down to you. The quality is so poor. So, try to take that responsibility back as a business owner, as a law firm owner. That's my message.
Yeah. And I preach this, and 50% of people listen to me, 50% don't. But I tell these lawyers, anybody that's got a business, you've got to figure out how to stand out. I mean, if you can't answer the question, why should I choose you over all these other lawyers out there advertising, then you got a problem. And it can't be just like everybody. And all these lawyers, they say, well, we do the same thing. Well, that's true, but there's ways to stand out. I mean, it's like we got some guys that have done defense work, and they say, like we know their playbook. You got some lawyers that have been in, lost a loved one. They know how it feels. They've been in your shoes. You got some lawyers, that have written a book about it. You got to have something that stands you out. As we did this study. I hired this company about 2 years ago, Adam, and they interviewed 400 people, and we're trying to figure out what makes them choose a PI lawyer. And the number one thing is they wanted somebody that was an expert in their injury or their accident. They wanted somebody that had experience in doing trucking accidents or TBIs or whatever. But the other thing, they wanted them to be approachable and trustworthy. That was the other big deal. And surprisingly, things have changed since I first started this long time ago. Over 65% of the people are okay with lawyers advertising. They think it's educational. They're cool with it. I mean, the older demographics don't like it as much, but the younger demographics. And something else I learned last week at our summit is that this guy had all the stats about cord cutting and people that are, because we have lawyers that have tried the streaming, and the cost is just too prohibitive. I mean, it's like $30 cost per thousand, whereas you can get TV for what, $4 to $6 per thousand. But more and more you're seeing it, and they're predicting like over the next 2 to 4 years, you're going to see this demographics going, the older people are going to die out, and these new ones are cutting cords more and more. And that you've got to be part of that. And that's video, right? I mean, listen, every month, even for a small company like Pilma, I just did it before we got on this broadcast. I rent our session with a video guy and go in front of a green screen. And I've got me a book that I keep on my desk about different things that I can talk about, cutting edge stuff, people's fears, people, you got to hit their curiosity. You got to hit a pain point. What is it that's keeping them up at night? What is it that's their biggest challenges, whether it be an accident victim or whether it be a lawyer trying to figure out how to go to the next level in the practice. And I just sit there and just talk. And then I send it to my editor over in Pakistan, and he just chops it up. I think he actually uses AI now, a thing called Opus, chops it in about 30, 40 videos. And we shoot it out on social media, YouTube shorts, and it's really, it's helping us grow. I mean, we had the biggest summit we ever had last week. I mean, and we did a lot more video at YouTube and social media marketing than we've ever done. I used to do a lot of direct mail and emails, and that still does okay. But I really think, we went from like 350 to over 500. So that's whatever that is. That's 50%. I don't know. Growth in 1 year. And I think it had a lot to do with that, with just doing more video ads. We tested the static ads on social media. They sucked. The videos, like 100 times more views. It was just crazy. And listen, everybody's got this phone. This phone is what people are glued to it. I don't know if you ever get these reports. It tells me how many hours I've been on the phone, or social media, or this or that, or my emails. It's kind of, and if they can tell me that, they can tell everybody else that too, right?
That's right. Well, Ken, think about it. What is video, right? It's the next best thing to real. Fair, right? You and me sitting here, we're on video. Better would be me and you sitting together, but my schedule, your schedule. So our next best thing is video. Well, that's how it works in marketing too. Is when you do a printed direct mail piece, now they got to work. They got to read your direct mail piece and then think, am I interested? Am I even engaging? With video, you don't have to do anything. You're doing the work for them. You're telling your story. The reason shorts work is they're small bites, and the audiences are small, but they aggregate up. But streaming video, if someone had a miss with it, is it as cheap as broadcast? No, but it's additive audience, and it's laser focused. The zip codes, tendencies, service lines, right? Motorcycle service lines. So you layer that on top of broadcast, which is like a layer cake, right? So I always call it a layer cake. Broadcast, big fat layer. OTT, skinnier layer, but on top. Then YouTube, then Meta, then LinkedIn. Everybody forgets all these things. Then X. They all take video. So imagine yourself stacking all that up in your market. You think you're going to reach people? Oh my gosh, yeah. And by the way, careful. Everybody that goes and you talk to an ad wizard and they got all these headlines they read to you. Oh, no one's watching broadcast. Well, I got news for everybody. In any market you're in, even your smaller markets, there's 10,000, 20,000 people watching that morning news on that station. That's not a small audience. That'll fill a college stadium. You know what I mean? Like these are not tiny. Yeah. So don't buy the thing, oh, no one's, it's not true. So if you really know the math and you aggregate up, now you're using a couple of weapons together. Super efficient, man. Super efficient. But remember, like when you did that, Ken, when you put all those shorts out there, it sounds like they cut a bunch of shorts out of your talk, which is smart. When you did that, what you also did was you fed the AI machine. So, people seeing it, great. Yeah, I want to go to the summit. Great. They go to your summit. They love it. But the AI machine got fed red meat there. So now you started showing up in better places more often for free because you fed the machine.
We've started,
that's it.
Yeah, we started taking clips of these podcasts, Adam, and taking little clips and throwing them out there, and they get great views, and it helps raise the viewership and the listenership of the podcast, which in turns, believe it or not, helps membership.
Sure.
I talk to a lot of the leads because I like to do it. I like talking to lawyers, see if I can help them. And it's a funny, like 80% of the 8 out of 10 lawyers I talk to have heard me on this podcast or seen us on this podcast, and they already feel like they know me. Oh yeah. I feel like I already met you. So there's a lot to be said with that. I mean, have you got any lawyers doing podcasts? I mean, we've got a few, but not as many as we should have. I think they could really go out and interview influencers and do educational stuff, and then also push out local businesses that's going to help them feed each other off.
Oh yeah.
I think there's a lot of ways to leverage that.
Yeah, there's some big names. David Carrier in Michigan, Wills and Trusts, podcasts, videos, TV. I mean, he's a power brand in his city. Todd Miner, I think of him right off the top in Orlando, embraces everything new. And you just think of him more. It's a land of the giants down there, and you think of Todd Miner. He just seems to cut through somehow. I think of Joe Laub over there in Utah and in Lake Tahoe area, Reno. They grab these tools and they make them their pets, Ken. They're not afraid of it. They just like picking up gold on the ground, throw it in the bag, man. Just picking up gold with new technology, throw it in. You want to do that, Ken. Those big views of your shorts, that might be a lot of people, but also might be a lot of bots. Yeah. But they're your friends because they're downloading your data as, oh, this Hardison guy seems to know something about legal. Let's throw him on our good list. You're giving the machine what it wants. That's where the internet is going, in my humble opinion. Yeah,
I actually got and this was crazy. I asked one guy. I always ask him before we get off the phone, and I said, "How'd you hear about me?" He said, "You're not gonna believe it, but I typed in legal marketing guru in Chat GPT, and you're one of the guys that came up."
Ta-da! There it is.
Yeah. So there you go.
There it is. I know. Try, and if you want to see me, call me out on my theories, go on meta.ai and just put in who is Ken Hardison. And if Ken's out there, the information comes up beautifully. And then put in something that's a little more obscure. And I'll say, I don't have a lot of information on that yet. That's AI saying we haven't gotten that one yet. But the other one, we see them all the time. Well, who's going to get the business? going forward. It's going to be the one that's known. So be known. Don't be a secret in your market. Don't sit. You remember the old guy, the old white shoe law firms? I've been around here for 100 years. Everybody knows me. I go back 5 generations. Well, anybody see those firms anymore?
Yeah.
No. Where are they now?
Yeah.
You can't live on your database. You can't live on your referrals. You got to go say hi. People move. They don't know any law firms. They're starting fresh in a new town. You got to say hello.
Yeah, especially PI firms, because that's the one. Some people will never need them their whole life, or will either only once in their life. You know what I'm saying? It's a one-time deal. So,
and Ken, what hasn't changed since the day we met? You remember me talking to you about this whole 72-hour rule thing, where I don't need a law firm, I don't know any lawyers, and then whammo, somebody T-bones you in an intersection. Within 72 hours, you're best friends with a lawyer.
Yeah,
it comes out of nowhere and is fast. So if you think it's a slow cook process, you got 72 hours to engage, or they've hired someone else. Because they have a short-term urgent need problem. They need a short-term urgent need pro. And by the way, I'm not surprised your survey came back as capability and trustworthiness. Can you imagine what we talk about in the messaging on video? Boom, you just nailed it. You can trust me because of this and my experience in that, and you call me now and I'm at your house today at 4 o'clock. Bam, like there's some great law firms I work with, and responsiveness is their secret sauce. That's what people want.
Yeah, it is. I mean, instant gratification. I mean, we had 2 companies do this, go out and fill out these forms on websites for PI lawyers, 200 to 300 law firms. And what both companies had come back with, 50% of them never got a response. Over 50% never got a response. And most of them, it would take 30 hours to get a response. And I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? You spend all this money and then you don't. It's ludicrous. It's crazy. It's like burning money.
Well, Ken, there's a lesson in there, right? For everybody listening to this is, I call it reverse engineering. First, you start with your CRM, you go through your data, you look for patterns, because you're looking for execution, right? Like, are we converting this number of phone calls to an appointment to a client? And if you get those benchmarks down and they're solid, launch. But if you got a broken engine, man, don't hit the gas yet until you get that frontline staff trained up. Or, I mean, you shouldn't be converting, 8% of your leads. You turn on television, they're going to come at you. You better be able to catch them. Because like you said, you got 72 hours or they're gone. So I work in a lot of competitive markets. I've worked Atlanta, I've worked Orlando, Miami. It is bare knuckle fight town. So you make sure that stuff's done first. And if you're good there, then you're good to go.
Yeah, it's crazy not to. All right. Anything else you want to talk about today?
Really just, Ken, it's good to be part of what you're doing. I think you're a voice for the industry. I've told you that before. So keep doing what you're doing. 500 people at a summit. My gosh, I was telling you earlier, I remember when I spoke at one so many years ago, there were 12 people there. And it was a really good summit. And I remember thinking, like, there should be way more people here. Well, congrats, because you did that.
All right. Well, listen, anybody, you don't really work with individual firms, do you? You more work with big TV stations and stuff, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure.
Well, I've opened up conversation with a lot of law firms. If somebody wants to talk and you want a little bit of an opinion back to you, I'll do it pro bono as a friend of Ken Hardison. Let's just have a talk. So just reach out. I'd be happy to chat with you.
Well, listen, take care. Hope to see you soon. And I want to get you to speak at next year's summit.
Well, let me know about that, Ken.
Yeah, I do. I want to get you to speak. We'll talk about it. All right?
Good to be with you again, man.
All right, brother. Until next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success. Good seeing you, brother.
All right. Cheers, Ken. Be well.
All right. Bye-bye.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.